From ice baths to red sauna to Greek cookery to bodybuilding, Tonia Buxton brings the joy to everything she does. Listen to this episode to feel young, feel strong, be well, and have all the joy you can have in your life. Welcome to the Anything is Possible podcast. Now, for the listeners that came to the Anything is Possible conference, you will certainly remember the beautiful, the wonderful Tonia Buxton, who took to the stage to talk about hacking your age. And I'm with Tonia today in her gorgeous, gorgeous home in London. And I'm going to let her introduce herself so she can tell you all the things that she does.
I think the best thing to call me is a jack of all trades and a master of none. That's my title now. So I suppose, what do I do? So I've written, 5 books. One was on pregnancy, and the others are all kind of cookery and holistic health books. I was competed in bodybuilding competitions when I was Miss 1997 Southeast Britain.
Wow.
I've worked on TV shows. I had my own series on the Discovery Channel called My Greek Kitchen and My Cypriot Kitchen. And I've got 4 kids. I think that's what really defines me. And I'm desperate to live life to the full. I mean, I think that's the thing. And that's the thing that when we came out of that whole lockdown period. So when people say to me, what do you do? I normally answer, I just search for joy.
Yeah.
That is kind of my title now.
And where has that come from? So, I first connected with you on Instagram, like just everything you were putting out there. I absolutely loved what you stood for. But where has this, where's that come from, that to get the most out of life and a joyful life? Where did that start?
So I think what it is you kind of get to a certain stage in life. So I was 55.
Which I cannot believe.
55. It's such a grand old age. When I used to think about 55-year-olds, they were old people.
Yeah.
They were on the wind down.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to accept that.
Yeah.
So I thought the best way to do it is to look after myself in a way that keeps me relevant and moving and out of pain. So I think that's a lot of people, you see them kind of close in on each other, but they can do things. We can do things to make ourselves well. Yeah. So I chase that. And because I want to be well, because I want to have a good time. Yeah. I am quite, bacchanalian in that way that I like having fun. I like going out. I like doing things like that. And in order to be able to do that, you have to have the energy and the kind of versatility and being able to do it. So that's why I search out things that are going to keep me young, keep me well. And also, I had my daughters when I was reasonably young.
Yeah.
I had my sons. My last son I had when I was nearly 40.
Really?
And so I thought, I need to make sure that I'm the same mum to my sons as I was to my daughters, because there was a big gap. I kind of ended up working for 8 years in between. So there's this gap. Yeah. And I just thought it's not fair to suddenly have a mum that's not as fit and as healthy as the girls had. So I owe it to them. I want to stay alive. If you decide to have a child when you're nearly 40 or in your 40s, it's your job to make sure that you stay healthy and well. So you're a relevant mother, and also you're there to be a grandmother as well.
Yeah.
And I think that things like that really kind of weighed on my conscience. It was important that I looked after myself literally for them.
Yeah. So do you think probably that was that kind of 40 mark, was that journey into, right, how can I stay young, stay well, stay relevant? Or was it before 40 that you started to think about that?
That's such a funny journey, Holly. So what happened is, I'm a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s, the only thing that was attractive was long, thin legs and big boobs. Okay, that was the fashion. If you look at Working Girl and all these films that were then, everyone was really, really thin. It's hard to imagine now because everyone's obsessed with arses and glutes and having big bums. But, the saying was, does my bum look big in this? Because you were embarrassed if your bum looked big. So I was a classic pear-shaped Greek girl.
Yeah.
I had thighs and I had bum and I had a tiny little waist actually, and not that big a boobs. So I was quite, it was all about the glutes for me. And it wasn't fashionable. I spent my whole life trying to bring down the size of my bottom, and mainly I would wear sweatshirts tied across my waist so you couldn't see my bum because it moved too much when I walked. All of these things now, which girls would think is bonkers, because there they are doing all these
having implants
and doing all these pumping to make their asses bigger. But I got a little bit of an eating disorder. I put myself into an
that.
eating disorder whilst trying to get slim. I did terrible things like survive on a pack of carrots and a pack of fags.
Wow.
Bag of carrots and a pack of fags. That was my diet for the day to try and get thinner. I was trying to get smaller. I wanted my it never works.
Yeah.
If you do anything like that, you always have to pay for it. So my metabolism broke down.
Yeah.
And didn't matter what I ate, I gained a lot of weight. And I was really, really miserable and very unhappy. And it actually took pregnancy to really sort me out.
Right. Okay.
Strangely enough, you know what it's like when I don't know if any people can associate with this. I wasn't an anorexic, but I just couldn't eat. Or if I did eat, I binged and then starved. I was doing such stupid things to myself. When I fell pregnant, everything stopped being about me. It started to be about the baby.
Yeah.
And so I made sure that I ate really well for the baby.
Right.
So, and actually it's quite difficult to get enough good nutrients in when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
There's no room for crap.
Yeah.
You just got to really work hard. And I was reading what part of the baby would be developing this particular week and say, well, I need to make sure that my diet's rich in protein this week, or it needs this in this week. And I became obsessive. When you are that type of person, you get a bit obsessive about things. Yeah. And so I did get quite obsessive during pregnancy, and I trained really hard during pregnancy because I'd been reading about Russian athletes.
Yeah.
In the 60s and 70s, Russian athletes used to do this terrible thing, is that they used to get the female athletes pregnant, and they used to train them really hard for the first 5 months, up to 6 months, and then they used to get them to abort the babies. It's a horrific story, but they used to do that because if you're pregnant, and you have more testosterone present in your system than you would naturally have it. If you train during that time, you can utilize that testosterone. Yeah. So I had really narrow shoulders. So I trained a lot during my pregnancy. I did loads of shoulders. It was all about the shoulders. And I gave myself really nice shoulders because of that. But even if you don't do that, there was a lot of British athletes and American athletes who did their best times after having children because they trained during pregnancy. Pregnancy's heart was weight training for the heart. So if you do a bit more and train on top of it, you come out of pregnancy better than you go into it. Right. And I am complete testament of that. Yeah. Like 4 months after having Antigone, I was on the beach in a string bikini.
And had you ever worn a string bikini before?
No. Wow. I had a better figure after I had Antigone than I had before her. Wow. So that was mind-blowing. So that's when I wrote a book called Have a Baby and Look Better Than Ever. Catch a little title there. Because at that time, so if you imagine that book was written 25 years ago, there were no books on pregnancy for the mother. Yeah. There was loads of books about what your belly's doing, what's going on in your tummy, all of that stuff, but not what you can do to help yourself. And so that was kind of the first of its kind. There's been lots of those out since then. So that was my first book. And that's what kind of made me start thinking about how it's in my own hands. Yeah. How I look, how I feel is in my own hands. Yeah. And so that was my big revolution, I think. And that's what kind of then took me further onwards with the things I'm doing.
So the average person doesn't just get to write a book. So what was your career up to that point? What had you done? And,
So I was a primary school teacher. That's what I used to do. I was a primary school teacher, mainly in Tottenham. I worked in a primary school called Lee Valley Primary. Mm. And, I used to do everything to subsidise my primary school wages because they were pretty poor. Yeah. And so whilst I was training to be a teacher, I was also training to be a PT. And I'd done quite a few nutritional qualifications, so I was a nutritionist. So I'd had all of that in my bag. Yeah. And then after work, I used to train people. I only had a few clients, but everything helped. So I had a lot of that information at my fingertips. Anyway. Yeah. And then I met a woman who was a journalist, and she was really interested in my story and whatever. Yeah. And she said, "Look, this is such a great story. Let's write a book." So it was a friend, and we just wrote it together. And because she was a journalist and she was already in that industry, and she'd helped somebody else publish a book, she knew what she was doing. So that's how we did that. So
if you were a teacher, then it's Anna, because I'd written down before, like you obviously love research and reading and writing, and that's obviously part of why you were a teacher, I guess.
I was a teacher because I liked kids.
Oh,
really,
right.
and I really. This was kind of very unfashionable especially in the 80s, when we were told that as women we could do everything. Yeah. We could run the boardroom and have children and do everything and whatever, which you can't. You can't do everything. You can, but not all at once. Yeah, yeah. And it was really poo-hooed to want to have kids. Really? So I remember being ridiculed when I was about 16, 17, and these older girls, and they said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'm entirely sure what I want to do.
Yeah.
I definitely want to have a family. And they all just burst out laughing, which was quite hurtful at the time. But that was kind of early, mid-80s.
Yeah.
And I knew that. So I liked kids, and I knew that I wanted a career that would allow me to have children. It was what I wanted. A lot of people now don't know whether they want to have it. I always wanted children. And so that's one of the reasons I became a teacher as well. So it's less to do with the research. I'm a bit of a skimmer. I'm more of a doer. I like to do it. So that's how that happened. But I realised that teaching was really hard. It's really, really hard job. If you are a good teacher, it takes every part of you. And I found it really difficult with young children at home, and then teaching young children. I found it very, very hard. But one of the things that I had also been doing is, after I wrote that pregnancy book, there were some channels popping up, satellite channels were turning up. We'd gone away from just 4 channels on telly and satellite had come. And my book had been sent to a channel called Channel Health.
Right.
And they contacted me. They just got a big budget from the NHS about getting people to have healthy pregnancies. So they contacted me and asked me if I'd go in and, maybe train up some pregnant women and part of this little capsule that they were doing. I did that for them. It went really well.
And then train them as in for
pregnancy exercise. Pregnancy exercise.
Okay,
they didn't want me to do the nutrition. They had someone else do nutrition, just doing pregnancy exercises with women. So I did that. That went well. And then they gave me some other bits and other bits and other bits. And then I ended up with a show reel.
Oh, wow.
And so I managed to get myself an agent. And that agent then helped me get a job called Beauty and the Feast. It was on, what channel was it on? UK Food, one of those. It's the worst show you've ever seen. And you're like, oh my gosh, Holly, it was so bad. It was terrible. It was like the world's worst show. But what that made me realise is that I really loved Greek food and the Greek origin of olive oil and eating. The whole Mediterranean diet is actually based on the Cretan Greek diet. And it was because they ate so much olive oil. And I just knew that there was a show in that. Because before that, only TV shows that the only way they showed Greek and Cypriot cooking is part of a Mediterranean journey. So it'd be a little bit, they do more Italy, they do more France, but there's never a whole show on Greece and Cyprus, things like that, Greek cooking, which for me is the best food in the world. So I started touting around my series. The initial one was called, I think I called it In Mama's Kitchen, and I went to, I think it was nearing 200 production companies.
And what would you do? Just approach them?
Because I'd had Beauty and the Feast out on telly that was on, I managed to get an appointment. So I'd go to the development team and say, look, I've got this idea. I think this is fantastic. Blah, blah, blah. And it was like, thank you, but no. Thank you, but no. Oh, yes, we like the idea, but we want to put somebody else on it. It's like, no way, this is my idea. This can't be done without me. That's it. I eventually found a production company in Birmingham. They liked it. We jiggled it about and we kind of redid it, and they took it to Sky and Discovery Channel, and Discovery Travel and Living optioned it.
Wow.
So we ended up making it in all 3 series, 2 of my Greek kitchen, 1 of my Cypriot kitchen. So I'm so proud of this series. It ended up being sold to 30 countries globally, and it got repeated. It gets repeated. Oh my gosh, I wish I had repeat fees on that. It was a buyout. For years, for decades. It hasn't actually, it was on the other day again on Discovery Travel and Living. And it hasn't lost its, it hasn't dated.
Relevant,
dated.
And what was your driver there? So you've obviously wrote this book, and then did you suddenly get a taste of presenting and think, oh, I really love that?
I loved presenting.
Did you?
I loved it. I loved being on telly, and I loved presenting. It's just, there's no better job as far as I'm concerned. It's really good fun. And I, in particular, like live TV.
Oh, do you?
I love live, and I love the mistakes on live. When I'm cooking on Sunday brunch, or or when I used to do Good Morning Britain quite a lot, things would always go wrong, and they were always the best shows. They're the most entertaining shows.
So when the series finished, what was the next stage for you with sort of TV and writing and food? What was the next stage after the...
I then got asked to have a meeting at the Real Greek, which is a group of restaurants. At the time, they only had about 6 or 7. So I went and had this meeting. We were just going to do one event together. But they did all the things I wanted. Like, it's so important to have olive oil in dark bottles or tins that are airtight, because otherwise the oil oxidizes. So you know when you go on holiday and the olive oil's been on the table in a glass jar and the sun's been beating on it, that is poison. Don't put it on your food. It's toxic. It's oxified. It's become rancid. So you just don't want to put that on your food. Instead of being good for you, it's actually physically bad for you.
And what does it do to you when it's oxidized?
Well, it's like all the seed oils that you see. Right. It's an inflammatory thing that you're putting in your body. Right. You know, good olive oil, like a high phenolic extra virgin olive oil, is the most anti-inflammatory thing you can put in your body. Yeah. When you put oxidized oil into your body, it causes inflammation. It makes you ill. You know, so don't touch it. Yeah. So one of the first things he did is, you know, get this olive oil that I like from Crete that comes in a tin. So that's what's on the tables now. He changed where he got his feta from. We got one from just in the Attica region that's, you know, in oak barrels. The halloumi comes from Cyprus. You know, they did all the things I wanted them to do. And we were working out the other day. I have been with them now for 11 years. Wow. So I'm the consultant chef at the Real Greek for 11 years now. And we have different chefs coming in and coming, you know, because you always have to refresh the ideas. Yeah. And so we've got some brilliant chefs there now working there. We have Nico, who's a Michelin-starred chef. He's fantastic. And, you know, and we bounce off each other. Yeah. So that's been a regular thing for the past 11 years.
And you were saying that your kind of love of food is from, well, not necessarily love of food, but your introduction to food was from very little. You used to cook a lot at home, and that's where your passion has come from for food.
Yeah. I mean, I bloody hated it initially because it was something that I had to do. Yeah. So my mum was working, my dad was working. I used to have to come home and I used to have to cook. Yeah. You know, I have to, you know, I learned to cook from a very, very young age, but it was a chore. Yeah. It was not something I liked doing at all. Yeah. It became something I liked doing when I realised how much people like good food. Yeah. And it made me popular. Yeah. You know, at university, it was like, well, you know, if Tonia invites you around for dinner, you don't get like beans on toast. You get real food. Yeah. You know, you get actual proper food. Yeah. And literally, a lot of the time, all I would be doing is like roasting a chicken, but you know, roasting a chicken with oregano and garlic, and it had lemon and thyme in it. It was tasty. And I'd do the potatoes just roasted in the oven that would have, you know, tomatoes and onions on them, or just like with a bit of cumin, a few spices and stuff, just to make it tasty. But very basic. I wasn't, you know, tying myself to the kitchen for hours. And it was like, these people have never eaten before. They've never eaten proper food before. So I became very popular. So that's when I realised I'm a feeder.
I describe you as like this hot mama with like 4 gorgeous kids, gorgeous husband. So let's talk about your marriage. How long have you been married to Paul?
So married is 28 years. We've been together 33 years.
Wow. So you were 22?
23.
So tell us, where did you meet?
Oh gosh, it's such a terrible story. So actually I saw him for the first time when I was about 14.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was very fat Greek girl with a moustache. And he walked into this school, Henrietta Barnett, where my friend was doing a fashion show and I was there. And his girlfriend, who was, you know, 18, same age as him, he was 4 years older than me, was the most beautiful girl in the school. And he walked in to kind of watch her in this fashion show. And I just remember looking at this guy and thinking, you know, it really was pow.
Yeah. Really?
Pow.
Can you remember it now?
Yeah, I can remember it because he's tall and he was broad and he had this chubby face, which he doesn't have anymore. But anyway, that was it. I think this shows you when you really want something. Yeah. You get it. So it took till I was 23. Yeah. And we bumped into each other again. And then that went from there. That was it from there.
So he's obviously very into fitness, and you mentioned you did bodybuilding as well. Yes. So is that kind of a shared interest that you've both got? I know you're very into strength training now. And
he was the one that got me into bodybuilding because he was the one that was doing all the research about a lot of what was going on. And he said, look, let's do it together. We'll do it together. So we ended up competing together after I had Antigone. Yeah. So it was something that we did together, and we carried on with it together. He carried on a bit more than I did. I stopped after the kind of 2 seasons of it, but he carried on. And then he got into Ironman triathlons, which are only for the insane. And now he's doing High Rocks, and he's going to do the High Rocks Championship, which is World Championships, which is pretty amazing for an old boy.
Yeah, that's a big thing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do it if you. I don't care how much money you pay me. I don't. Listen, Holly, the reality is all of these. I used to do triathlons. I did all of it before I was married. Yeah, to make him think that I was interested. in it. So he'd think, yeah, I'll marry her. As soon as I got a ring on it, all of that stopped. No, just a little. But I took the kind of basics of what you need for longevity and did those.
Yeah.
But I'm not really that competitive when it comes to this. You have to have a certain mindset to be able to be so resilient to go on. I would be running and thinking, I just want to stop, you know. I don't, that mental capacity say, no, come on, you can do it. To just do half marathons and things like that. Never again.
And is he very strict? He's very lean, isn't he? So does he drink? Does he eat?
He does it all. That's what's so hilarious. People think that he's a complete saint. He's not. He really eats and drinks whatever he likes, but nothing processed will cross his lips ever. And, if he's had a big binge day or, we've had a weekend that's been like full of food and drinking, then we'll have a very low calorie day or a fasting day where you just have kind of bone broths and things like that, just to kind of give your system a chance to get rid of all that stuff that it's got in it and reset again. But you have to do all these things. And you get them and you get excited and you play with these toys, and then you don't do them as much. I don't do any of them as much as I can. I always promise myself I will. But the one thing that I have done consistently is trained. Some form of training. And it's always kind of been more about the muscle building kind of training. Because in the past 10 years, all I've read for longevity is muscle. They're now saying that you are, once you hit 50, you are better off staying fat and keeping hold of your muscle than going on an extreme diet, getting thin and losing the muscle. Muscle is what keeps you young. Muscle is what keeps you vital. And if you do things, especially post a certain age, post 40, 50, forget it over 60, then you are literally negating your longevity, because it's all about muscle. And as women, as soon as you hit 35, 40, you don't absorb as much protein. So you've got to get good proteins in. You have to think about the protein that you eat in your diet every day.
I mean, it's a change of mindset, isn't it? Because I've just recently changed the way I've always done weights, but one less session a week, I'm more focused on the strength, and I've really been enjoying seeing those numbers go up and actually like a little it's great. And
it really also makes you feel makes you feel strong, and it makes you feel powerful. I mean, one of the things that happens when you get a bit older is you get into bad habits, and weight training helps you from stop doing that. So the first bad habit is one I talked about. It's like making noises when you get up and down. Ooh. Oh, don't do that. That's just an old person thing. Don't do it. But also posture. If you've got really good back muscles and good kind of back muscles and shoulders and abs and core, it makes you stand better, because as you get older, you naturally want to kind of be more like this. You want to kind of shuffle along a bit more. So you've got to, when you do weights, it does help remind you of you get to feel your body more. You understand and you sense your body more. So you put your shoulders back, you stand tall. When we're looking at people, a lot of the time, we're not necessarily looking at whether they've got wrinkles or whatever when we get to their ages. A lot of it is the movements they make. It's the fluidity in their movements. And when you're young and you're fluid. Kids roll around on the floor, they're not creaking and aching. That is a really big thing for anti-aging. And not just for what it does to you physically, but what it does to you mentally. Once you kick in and say, no, I'm not going to adhere to those old movements. I'm not going to adhere to that old way of being. The youth comes from inside. It's so much to do with how you think about yourself. I'm a woman, I want to say horrible things to myself. I really do. I want to look in the mirror and go, what has happened to you? Look at you. Look at that. Look at that. Look at your body. Look at your ass. Look at your neck. Look at your eyes. And be mean to myself. It doesn't help. No. It gets you nowhere. It just gets you down. So you've got to stop those thoughts in their tracks. Stop them and say, you know what? It's all right. Okay, so it's not looking exactly how I want it to look. But I'm still functioning. I'm still moving. I can still dress it up when I need to. And if I want to make a little bit more effort, I might do. Be kind to yourself, because your thoughts, even the tone of your thoughts, affects how you are, and it affects the outcome of where you go. So if you literally are walking around all day long saying, oh, I'm fat and fat and fat and fat and fat and fat and fat, eventually you will just become fat and you'll become very, very miserable.
I totally agree. I think, like, especially with age as well, it's in the media a lot at the moment, but I've just never thought about that. Like, I've got friends that are in their like late 20s up to 60s, and I just think it's great to have people in your circle that can you can relate to on so many different levels as well.
But also it's where you want to be. I personally am finding that a lot of friends of my age are they can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. That's absolutely fine
Yeah.
too. If you decide, right, no, I do not want to be up till I go to Athens at night. I'm out till 6 a.m. and I love it.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. You know, if you
Yeah.
decide I've done that, you know, grow up, Tonia, don't do it. But that's not what I want. So I'm tending to find that a lot of the people that I'm mixing with are younger than me.
Yeah.
And if I want to be good company and to be with them, then I have to stay vital. I have to stay young. No one wants to hang around an old fart who's boring. So you have to step up.
Yeah.
But that's, again, it's just down to what you want from your life. That's what I want from mine.
Yeah.
I totally respect my friends that are, you know, 55 coming up to 60, and like that's like a nightmare for them. They don't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
They just want to maybe go out for dinner, then come back, or maybe go to the movies and whatever. I get the itches when I've done that too often. I need to go dancing. Yeah. I need to do something.
Yeah.
I need because that's what brings me joy. I love it. You know, I just love being out. My daughter has parties when she's kind of launching a new single or whatever. Yeah. And she always bullies me into having them here. And I always say, this is the last one. Yeah. No more parties in my house. And I say, well, I'm going to go to bed. I'm not going to stay up. I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to say hello to everybody and go to bed. Yeah. I'm here till the end. I'm here till 4 a.m. doing tequila shots.
I mean, just like doing the cocktails. And I love it.
You know, because there's a joy to it that I really love.
Absolutely.
So you've got to seek out. That's the thing about being youthful. Yeah. And especially being happy within yourself. Because as a woman, you go through all this crap. You have periods, you have pregnancy, and then you have menopause. Menopause is the real, excuse my language, it's the fucker at the end that gets you. But you can decide how you take it. You can decide how you do it. But the first thing you need to decide is what makes you happy. Yeah. Because if you don't actually know what makes you happy, how do you pursue it? So there are decisions that you have to make in your life. It's like when you're talking about people setting goals in their lives for whether it be work or relationship, whatever. That's the same thing with joy. Yeah. What makes you joyful? What makes you happy? Yeah. And then when you know that's the thing that makes you happy, then do everything you can to seek out to get there. Yeah. And that's what I do.
But we were talking about this from the conference, you know, so many people have made changes from your talk, and that must be so satisfying for you.
I've made changes from your talk, you know, so this, you know, it was, I keep saying it to you, it's not just because I'm sitting here talking to you now, I've been to so many events, and I've spoken at so many events. This one was the most fortifying. It was the one that I felt most people got benefits. Most people left there and had decided that they were going to make a change. Yeah. And you're seeing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I really am. Like I was saying to you before, I've had probably like 200 pieces of individual feedback from speakers, from exhibitors, from people that attended. And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to go away and make change.
Yeah. So, you know, and I've looked at people who are saying, I want to do this project. I want to actually have a, you know, me with the dresses.
The dresses. Like, tell the listeners about that.
Okay, so this is one of the dresses, by the way.
She's beautiful.
So I started buying these dresses from a company called Anami and Janine, like a decade ago, going for years. And then they shut down about 8 years ago, and they didn't make them anymore. And I every time I wear these dresses, I did overbuy. You know, when you like something,
you love something.
Bought about 30 of them, in different colours and different shapes and whatever. And I always get asked, you know, where's your dress from? It's really nice. And they're so easy to wear, and they're very flattering. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start up this company, and I'm going to make them myself. You know, the easy way of doing it would have been to just take this pattern, give it to someone, do it myself, and not involve them. But it felt immoral to do it that way because I knew that Janine was still out there. So I contacted her and said, look, can I buy the patterns off you? Yeah. Because I want to make these dresses. She said she had just been showing my picture to someone to say, if we decide to start again, we've got this, you know, person who's, you know, got quite a profile who would wear our dresses and help promote it. So we've now decided to go into partnership together. And we're talking about patterns and colours and, you know, the kind of crazy things that we're going to do, which is something I've been thinking about for a decade and haven't done it. And now because we came to you, that's down to you.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, so good to hear these stories. So at the conference, what everybody absolutely loved was like your top tips. And I've just written down ice bath, cold shower, red sauna, red light. So going upside down. So just talk us through these things and why they are so good for you.
Okay, so you don't have to have money to do any of these things. Yeah. So the number one top tip, which I thought everybody did anyway, is, you know, doing squats when you brush your teeth.
Yes.
That is the number one tip. So if you start with just doing 10 squats while you brush your teeth and build it up to 20 and maybe build it up to 50. Yeah. And then if you're doing that twice a day, That's 100 squats that you're going to be doing that is going to get rid of that old lady ass or that saggy ass. You're going to have a nice peachy bum. And that's what everybody wants now. And also adds strength and mobility. You know, just, you know, there's some people who can't even do any movement when it comes to squats. So start working on the movement, start working on the mobility. So just doing that one thing is going to make you feel better. So that's my top tip. Cold things, you know, cold therapy is really good, not just for what it does to your immune system, because it does boost your immune system, your natural immunity, but also what it does to you mentally. It's fantastic for your mind. So you start in a shower. If you're one of these people that had a hot shower, then, you know, just last 30 seconds, do 30 seconds, that's it. Then build up to a minute, then build it up to 2 minutes. I mean, you really want to be building up to 5 minutes. Cold showers, you don't even bother with the hot anymore. You'll end up shivering when you come out, or when you've kind of done kind of excessive 3-4 minutes. You shiver. That shivering is so metabolizing. It's like your metabolism's going through the roof. It's so fat burning.
Wow.
And the type of fat it burns is brown fat. You know, it's mobilizing fat. So it's just such an amazing thing to do. And then if you're lucky enough to be able to have an ice bath, then you can do that. But cold showers are just as good as ice baths. There's something easier about just sitting in the bath instead of having sometimes with a shower, because you've got to move about, but it makes it almost more painful. My big tip with cold showers is get yourself a speaker that goes in the shower. I've got on my Spotify, I've got a shower playlist, because I know they're all crazy songs that I'm jumping around like a lunatic, singing at the top of my voice. But it just gets you through it. So you've got to find things to get you through it. If you can get now, there's some really good red light therapy.
Talk to me about red light therapy, because I bought one of those masks off Amazon. But every time I used it, I don't know if it's so tight around my eyes, it looked like I'd had goggles on for about 24 hours after. But talk to me about it, because I'm so interested in it.
Red light therapy is a cellular healing process. So it kind of heals you in a cellular way. So the red light infiltrates your skin. It goes down to, you know, levels between, and it causes anti-inflammation. It causes a healing within. Color therapy is really important. People don't quite understand how it works. Either do I don't understand it, but I know it works. And there are ones that you can get now that are just handheld. You're going to get the face mask ones, but like sometimes you have to kind of put them on there, and they're just like really uncomfortable. I think they probably are putting it on too tight. But then you can get these small handheld ones now that you just hold your neck. I'll actually send you the one that I think is the best. I can't think of them at the top of my head.
We can link it in the show notes as well.
We can link it in, and they. But if you're really lucky, and this is the one that I eventually want to get, is one that is on a stand that you can just lie down underneath. So you can have a little nap, and it's doing your back, and then turn it around and it'll do your front. It's been proved again and again that when athletes have injuries and they use red light therapy, their injury just gets better almost 50% faster than it would naturally. And so if you've got, it is so healing. So when it comes to skin inflammation and things, everything is inflammation. All illness, all wrinkles, all ages is inflammation. So that's, you know, when you've got arthritis, it's inflammation. You've got anything wrong with you, it's inflammation. So what red light therapy does is it brings down the inflammation. And that's what you need to search, whether it's bringing down inflammation in your gut with the food that you're eating, or it's red light therapy that you're putting it on your skin to just bring down any inflammation that you've got. But when it goes to the cellular level, when it goes to the joint level, then it really makes a difference.
Wow, okay. And then you mentioned about a hyperbaric. Yes, what's that?
So this is a really newfangled thing that I am really interested in. So, and I'll send you a link for them as well, because they do home ones. Hyperbaric is what what people go in, you know, when they've been diving and they get the bends. It's like a diving chamber. And what happens is it causes complete pressure. And then you breathe 100% oxygen into your mouth. And it means that your body is being infused with 100% oxygen. It's incredible for you. And I read a study about 5 years ago about how it's the only thing that actually increases your telomeres. Telomeres are the indicator of age, you know, so they get shorter and shorter and shorter as you age, and then
Yeah.
Then you die. That's it. There's lots of things that you can stop the shortening of telomeres, all these things that we do. But one of the only things that was shown to increase telomeres is getting into a hyperbaric chamber.
Wow.
So you can get some home ones, which is one of the ones that we've got here. Now, I started doing this for a while, along with taking the olive oil, doing my weight training, doing all the kind of cold showers and doing a whole kind of longevity thing. And it blew my mind because I fell pregnant at 52. I didn't keep the baby. I lost the baby at 11 weeks, just under 12 weeks.
Wow.
But I think that maybe getting into that hyperbaric chamber might have been
Yeah.
the reason that I fell pregnant again.
Yeah.
I think it really kind of re-triggered it.
Wow.
I haven't been in it again
Just in case.
since then. But I'm going to start again because it does make you feel good. And it's really, really good for you to kind of be infused with that amount of oxygen. And if you don't have your own one at home, there's lots of places that do it.
Yeah.
When Paul started doing it, and my husband started to find out a lot about it, is when he had some nerve damage in his jaw after having a wisdom tooth out. And he was going in there to help with the pain. And I won't name names, but there were Olympic athletes in there just going in there because they had like some injuries or whatever, or doing it pre-events to make sure that they're tip-top.
Wow. And I mean, looking at you, you look at least 10 years younger than you are.
I love that. I love that. I'll take that.
Yeah, you definitely do.
The
but your skin looks amazing. Is that like from the inside out, as in like you're glowing?
Bit of both.
What? Okay. Yeah.
It's a bit of both. So it's definitely, as I keep going on about, extra virgin hyphenated olive oil. I take that as a medicine, and I keep up with all the supplements and things that I need. And the way I know I'm taking the right supplements is I do a bespoke.
You do bespoke.
I do bespoke. They come, they take your blood, they then analyze your blood. They come back to you and they say you're deficient in this, and this.
Yeah.
And they make a supplement that's catered to you.
Yeah.
And you can have your bloods done every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, whatever, and then just keep doing that. It's what rich people have been doing for decades.
Can we tag that company in?
Yes, it's called Bionic. And they are the most reasonable one, actually.
Yeah, okay, brilliant.
And they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And like I said, rich people have been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
But now it's become more affordable.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that the supplements that I get from them, what I pay for them for supplements, is less than what I was buying just willy-nilly.
Yeah, because when you end up buying
they cost a fortune if you get good supplements. And then so it ends up being much more cost effective. So I think that's a really important thing for your skin, because that's inside out. And what happened to me after I had my first child, I got this thing called a melasma on my skin, which causes pigmentation. It's because when your hormones go funny when you have a baby. Yeah. So I started getting kind of blotches on my skin. At one stage, actually, when I was filming one of my Greek kitchens, I look at some of it and I think, oh my God, I can see it so badly. It was like a dark shadow. I looked like I had a Mexican moustache.
The moustache was back.
The moustache is back. But it was pigmentation. So very, very quickly, I started using really good facial 50 plus SPFs on my skin. And I have done that now for 30 years.
I wish
almost 30 years. It doesn't matter if it's grey sky like this in London. It doesn't matter if it's, and if I'm in the scorching sun, it's really hot. I'm the hat lady. I wear hats, I wear caps. So, I won't ever sit with my face in direct sun. So I've always done that. And I think that makes a really big difference
Look at Kylie. Kylie's Minogue's always worn an SPF as well.
She has. Yeah, she looks amazing. She's a little bit of filler there though. I'm frightened of fillers. So it's not something that I'm ruling out ever at the moment. When I look at people and I see that they've got filler in their face, I'm not comfortable with it. I don't think it's necessarily flattering.
People can end up looking older.
I think young people,
and a lot of younger,
you see these 20-something-year-olds and they've got filler in their face. They could be 40 because they lose that youthful kind of look. Well, I started having Botox, and I don't. Can you see? I don't know.
I think you have it the same as me. Very natural.
I haven't. I need to. Sometimes I normally put a bit in before I go away in the summer. Because it stops me from scorching my eyes and my forehead. But I actually started having it when I was 30.
Okay. Do you think it's like a preventative?
I think it's preventative because when I had still do quite an expressive face. Things move around a lot. And I had really deep lines. I had 3 really deep lines in my forehead. And I had them from my teens, late teens really. I could see pictures. They're in there then. So that kind of got rid of it there. But I've been trying out some new facial things.
Oh, come on, tell us these.
And I think it's working. It's called New Gen. New Gen facial, and it's a bit like Morpheus 8, and it's quite uncomfortable. They kind of numb your skin and they kind of jab you with heat. And there's a bit of that. You can have it really strong, and then you have to take off, weeks or whatever, or you can have it quite lightly, and it doesn't. I'm doing it quite lightly because I always need to work. And I think it's doing something. What I like about all of these treatments, is that what they do is they kind of damage your skin, and force your own collagen to heal yourself and to look younger. And as long as you're supporting yourself, with all the right supplements and all the right food and having enough oils and stuff like that, then when your skin gets damaged, lots of collagen will come out and do that. So I like the idea of me healing myself with a bit of help and going outwards, rather than putting things in or, going under a knife or something like that. I'm frightened of things like that. I'm really frightened of things like that. And also I just think they're so inaccessible for so many people. I think all of these things you can do them yourself. I mean, even the one where a lot of these treatments might be quite expensive, but you can now get things that are going to kind of slightly prick your skin. As long as you've got to do it under very clean conditions. But you can get a roller, like a facial roller that's got needles in it. Now, if you clean your skin and you do that to yourself, but it's got to be uncomfortable. It's got to be that stingy, whatever. And then you put a good serum on top, and then you're eating, the right foods and whatever. Your own collagen will kick up and start deal with all the scratches that you've had and that you're putting on yourself, and it will help. These are things that you can do yourself without it being too costly.
And collagen, you obviously gave me a nice spoonful of my coffee before. I've just started taking 7,000, whatever the measurement is you're supposed to have. What's your view on taking collagen as a supplement?
I've just started doing that. My husband got it for me, and it's kind of split peptide collagen. It's got to be spliced peptide collagen, because that's the one that you can ingest better. He got me this powder that I put in, into a warm drink, not too hot, but I quite like it in coffee. It tastes a bit vanilla-y. I'm trying it out. And I think, because it's cumulative, isn't it? All of these things that you do, they are not like, going and getting a facelift and out you come, look at that. Or going and having a filler, oh my gosh, look at that. It's accumulative. It takes a few months for it to see the difference and whether it's working or not. But I think as long as all the ingredients are good and you're taking good, there's nothing to lose. So why not try it?
I can feel from things I've seen on social and coming in your home today, there's a lot of joy in this house. It's so fun and social, and I feel like you bring the joy to your family.
I like having my children around, and I like having lots of people around, and I'm always telling them to get out and but they know how much I like having them here. And actually everyone brings the joy. Everyone brings it. I live off the madness. I live off the chaos. When it gets too quiet, when I'm on my own. But sometimes it's just Paul and I. It's like, well, I don't like this much. And I love him. I think he's amazing. And when we go away, just the two of us, we always kind of run away to Brighton, once every couple of months or so, so we can just do some date nights and be on our own.
You've been married 28 years, as we said before, and you're still rushing off for date nights. So to anybody out there who wants to, we've just had an episode on creating your perfect relationship with Sarah Davison. What are your top tips about longevity of marriage and relationship?
Okay, it's quite hard because I've been with him since I was young. So we've formed together. I don't know. This is not great advice. I'm 55 years old now. If anything happened and, Paul went off with another woman, I don't know that I'd ever want another relationship because I don't think I've got the patience. I'd have to learn a lot of things. I'm patient with him because we grew together. There's a lot of compromise on his side, on my side. There is a lot of compromise that you have to do if you want to have a good relationship. And I actually think Paul is really one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. He's very kind, and there's nothing that I don't want that he wouldn't get me. He's just lovely. And yet sometimes when he's stirring his coffee, I want to kill him. It's what can you do? It's there, isn't it? So, and all he's doing is stirring his coffee, poor love. So you just have to pick your battles, learn to compromise, and you do have to like and love the person that you're with. If it's got to the stage where they walk in the door, which I saw with a lot of my friends' relationships, consequently some have stick together, some have split up. If you get to the stage when your husband walks in the door, you're like, oh God, he's here now.
Yeah.
Then that's time to split up or to do something to bring yourselves back in again. And I think that's been the most important thing with Paul and I, is that very early on we said, you tell me.
Yeah.
You tell me. Even if it's unreasonable, you tell me, because I don't want you sitting there going, stop doing that, get on my bloody nerves. And I don't want to, we didn't want internal dialogue with each other. We want it out. And some of the times he says to me, I don't like it when you do that. But why? Because look, I'm just telling you, I don't like it. If you can not do it, that'll be great. Yeah. So I said, okay, I won't do that. I'll, because what's the point of, I don't want to irritate you. I want you to love me. I mean, I must admit, my list is much longer than his. He's much more easygoing than me. Definitely, there is something called misophonia. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a thing. It's when you can't stand people making noises, especially when they're eating. It's
so
a
funny.
thing. It's a thing. I've left restaurants before because the person next to me is chewing too loud. So there's a long list of things that you could get irritated with. How irritated am I going to get? I'm not going to get that irritated. I'm going to put the cup of and say, hey, don't do that again. Because there's other things to get wound up about. The big things. Yeah. And I think that's really important, not to allow yourself to get too irritated about the little things that aren't that important. Yeah. But if it is something that's really important to you, talk to each other and just say, look, it winds me up, it gets on my nerves. And if you want me to be wound up when you're doing it, then carry on. But you don't. You don't want to be winding each other up. You want to be enjoying each other's company. So it's really important to also be retrospective into yourself and, look at yourself and say, well, hang on a minute, all I'm doing is nagging. Yeah. Stop it. Yeah. It's boring being a bloody nag. Stop it and just pick the things that annoy you and have a look at the things that you might be doing that might be annoying as well. Yeah. Because no one's blameless. Everyone's got a bit of blame. Yeah.
And in your crazy life, all the fun things you do, you're off to something else shortly. Is there any routine in your life?
Not really.
No. And would that be something that just
wouldn't? No, there is there's the routine that I will get up and I will do something every morning. Yeah. So if it means I have an 8 o'clock thing and I've got to leave the house at 7, then, make sure I get to bed early the night before, because I'll probably have to get up at 6 to do something. Or if I know that I absolutely can't do it in the morning, make room to do it in the evening. Yeah. Got to always have that routine of some form of exercise, because then you just get so busy and you make excuses that doesn't happen. So exercise at least 5 times a week. Something has to get done at least 5, if not 7 times a week. Now I've got this dog here, drives me insane. I end up having to walk him anyway, so that chore has to be built in. I can't, and it's actually quite good having him, because if I have to leave the house at 7, then I have to get up at 6 and walk him, because if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And it's that kind of thing. So there is only that routine, but I love the fact that I don't have a routine. I am not someone that thrives on routine. I'm better when I'm doing lots of different things. That's what suits me. I have friends that the way I live would give them a breakdown. They say that all the time, because there is no regular thing going on. But this is what makes me happy. Yeah, and the majority of things that you do, would you say, bring you joy? Most of the things I do bring me joy. Or I'll try and find the joy in them. Yeah. That's what I'll try and do. That's the difference. Okay. Yeah. You have to make money. I have 4 children and their bills are never ending. So there will be jobs and things that I'm doing. Sometimes when I'm writing, where I have to do a certain event, or I have to encompass something or do something that is not going to bring me joy. But I will find the joy in it, because actually the money it brings me will make things easier and bring me joy in that way. So you've got to try and sometimes be a little bit clever with where the joy is. Yeah, definitely. And just to sort of wrap up a couple of things for the podcast. So Anything is Possible is about empowering you to believe anything is possible for you at any age. And I feel like you've probably had a lot of different lives within each decade. Yeah. For sort of women that are approaching mid-age and being quite negative about it, which I know it's because so much is in the media, and I know you're not at that stage yet, but what is your, to women that are suddenly talking a lot older and, this is it, and my life's over and all that kind of thing, what would you say to them? Because it so isn't. I think you just need to reset yourself. So go and buy an empowerment book, and even if you're reading it and going, this is a load of BS, I'm not interested in it, read it anyway, because it's somewhere along the line it will start affecting your subconscious. It is a choice. I agree. We all have choices in life on how we're going to be. Now, if you're choosing to be a miserable old cow, then that's on you. No one wants to hang around with you, no one wants to be with you, and that your life is a misery. I'm not talking about people who have terrible things happen to them. Everyone has terrible things happen to them sometimes, and some people have really bad things happen to them, and they are people that I take my hat off, because they're still, especially those that are still saying, look, I've got to find joy in my life, I've got to continue. I really admire the people that have had these terrible things happen to them and still find joy.
Yeah.
Because but you do need help, and people around you need to help you. But again, it's in your hands.
Yeah.
Your life is in your hands.
I love that. So to conclude, it is called Anything is Possible. Tonia, what does anything is possible mean to you?
Anything is possible. It means that. Let me think of something outrageous. Okay. So I want to be walking around in my Terry de Havilland platforms when I'm 90. That is my anything is possible aim in life. That is my aim in life, to be 90 years old, be inappropriately dressed, really inappropriately dressed, walking in platform heels, dancing to disco. That is my anything is possible for then.
Yeah.
But anything for possible now, what would my anything possible be now? Is it a wish? Is it a dream?
Just what does it mean to you? Yeah, I guess so. And what does it mean to you?
For me, it is... It's all, because for me, anything is possible. All my energy now is going into making sure that my kids get their anything is possible. Because I think I've had a lot of my anything is possible.
Yeah.
I strive, like I said, and I'm always looking to do something else. I'm actually, Holly, I was just reading about this supplement thing with, I keep going on about this oil.
Yeah.
It really is a wonder oil. So I'm thinking, I'm going to make it into a supplement. That's my anything is possible. It's the next project that I'm thinking of doing. So when it comes to kind of work-wise, that would be it. But life-wise, I just really want to see my children reach up and get that anything is possible goal for themselves.
Well, listen, thank you so much for everything, including all the lovely snacks, all the tips. We'll put everything in the show notes, and it's just a joy for me to get to know you, and I hope it will continue.
Likewise. Thank you, Holly.